Hello students, welcome to test number 2 review for Business 1B Managerial Accounting with Professor Kalyagin. So to access your test review file, you go on Canvas and you click on your class. Then you go to modules and you scroll down to test 2 module, which is after chapter 6. Here we go. This is where I'm going to place this video, the link to the video module, and this is test number 2 review file. Let me open it. So our second test will be very similar in format to test number 1 that you completed after chapter 3. The test will cover also 3 chapters, 4, 5, and 6. It will be open for 2 days. It will open on Sunday at 12:01 a.m. and it will close on Monday at 11:55 p.m. On Tuesday, hopefully, I will be able to recalculate and post the updated current percentages or status in your grades on Canvas. If I cannot do it Tuesday, I'll do it on Wednesday, and I'll send you an email. You have 3 hours to complete the test. It cannot be saved and exited. You have to complete it once you started it. And the test includes 150 regular points plus 5 extra built-in points. So the maximum you can earn is 155 out of 150 points. You will have your problems, 2 to 3 problems per chapter, similar to quizzes, but you will not have, well, just like in quizzes, you will not have access to hints or check my work feature. And you also will have 24 multiple choice questions, 8 questions per chapter for a total of 24 questions at 2 points each. So 48 points will come from the multiple choice questions, and the rest of the points will come from the problems. I always suggest to do problems first. So as I mentioned, the format is the same as before. You cannot print or copy the test. If you get locked out, please let me know immediately. Each student's test has a different set of problems and questions, and I use algorithmic numbers for every problem. You will be able to see the results of your test right away, your score, which will be transferred to Canvas. Also, after the due date, you can go back to the link from Canvas to get into Connect for the test, and you can see your answers as well as the correct answers. But again, that feedback becomes available at 11:56 p.m. on Monday night after everybody is done with the test. So these are the problems you should expect. So 2/3 of your points come from the problems. In chapter 4, we talked about activity-based costing, ABC. I will have separate shorter exercises where you will have to calculate plant-wide overhead rate. Separately, you will have to calculate overhead rates for departments, and then you will have to use ABC. Now, some of your homework problems were quite lengthy. It will not be as long for the test. It will be similar to what you completed on your quiz, as I mentioned, but you have to know how to assign costs using activity-based costing. For chapter 5, we had a lot of different concepts. I will ask you to calculate contribution margin, the contribution margin ratio, the break-even in both units and dollars, as well as the margin of safety. I will also ask you to conduct the CVP analysis for the sales mix when you have more than one product. So you have to go through 5 steps I took you through in our class and in the videos on composite units. And also you will have to compute sales to achieve. Actually, I'm not going to include this problem. You don't. Oh, yes, you do. You have to, you have to calculate target income. The amount of sales to achieve target income. So this one is also an example of the formula. I gave you a great printout, which is a summary of all formulas for chapter 5. So I would use that as your cheat sheet. We talked about fixed and variable and mixed costs and high-low method and some other concepts here. So if I did not list them in the problems, it means you will not have a separate problem, but you might have a question on those concepts as your multiple choices. And guys, in chapter 6, we really studied one main concept, we talked about preparing income statement under two different methods: the absorption costing, which is the GAAP approved method we studied in 1A, and then variable costing using the contribution margin when we separated the variable costs and the fixed costs. And you will have to compare both, and remember that your net income will be different depending on how many units you produced versus sold. And also you will use the formula from the chapter when I will give you the net income under variable costing, and you will have to use the formula to convert it into the absorption costing operating on net income. So these are the problems. They were all part of your homework and quizzes, so you should expect no surprises. And then I give you key terms for every chapter. So again, chapter 4 was ABC, but also we talked about costs of quality for different groups, and we talked about with you 4 levels of activities for activity-based costing that cause overhead. So these are the questions that I did not include as separate problems, but you might have multiple choices for them, as well as overhead allocation using plant-wide method, departmental method, and of course ABC, as well as advantages and disadvantages of the ABC method. For chapter 5, these are all different concepts we covered. The first part of the chapter dealt with the cost behavior, where we talked about relevant range, variable costs, fixed costs, mixed costs, stepwise costs, curvilinear costs, scatter diagram, and the high-low method. And then contribution margin per unit and the ratio, break even using units or in sales dollars, margin of safety, computing sales for target income, and calculating break even in composite units. So those are the formulas we used. In chapter 6, as I mentioned, we really just focused on the comparison between the absorption of full costing method to prepare the income statement versus variable costing or direct marginal costing method. So this is the formula to use to convert income from variable to absorption costing. And we also talked about controllable and uncontrollable costs. So good luck on the test. I hope you'll do well. And as I said, I will update your percentages, your current standing in class, as soon as everybody is done.